When my daughter was first shaken, I wondered, God, where are you? Why aren't you coming? How could you let this happen? She's just a baby. How could you do this to me? How could you let him hurt her? Why didn't you stop him? All of those things crossed my mind, but not one of those thoughts served me in any way. Those are the normal, natural human responses, but none of those actually did anything for me. The only thing those type of thoughts did was cause me anxiety, was cause me to worry, was cause me to regret decisions, was cause me to have anger and sin in my anger. That's what those thoughts caused. And I realized over time, I had to change those thoughts to, God, I know you did not cause this. I know you give free will. I know that you may have put something or someone in the way to stop it, and they didn't follow through. I know your ways are higher than my ways. And I know that you will make something good from this. I know that even though you don't cause bad things to happen, you can take those bad things and you can turn them into something beautiful. You can turn them into something good. And when I started to shift my thinking to that, everything in my life changed. I was able to let go of anger. I still had righteous anger over my daughter being hurt. I still have righteous anger over that. It's not fair. It's not okay. My daughter should be here. She should not be in a grave right now. She should be here, almost 5 years old or 5 years old, running around. She should be here with a relationship with my older daughter. She shouldn't be gone. So I have righteous anger over that, but shifting my thoughts allowed me to not sin in my anger. Unrighteous anger, where it caused me to do things such as, cussing out my ex-husband, wishing that he would die, all of these things. Those thoughts being shifted helped me to let that go, helped me to allow God to take over justice, helped me to see that justice could be more than just going to jail, helping me to move forward in life, helping me to not dwell on the past. It helped me to get through her death without going completely insane. Helped me to get through what felt like depression after she passed away, not wanting to leave the house, not wanting to do anything. It helped me to get through that. If I had dwelled on those negative thoughts, those original thoughts that came along with her injury of, why would you do this, God? If I continued thinking that, how could you, God? Why would you do this? Instead of surrendering it to God, saying, God, I give this to you. This is yours. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for helping me get through this. Instead of blaming God, allowing God to use the situation, allowing God to use me, allowing God to heal me, allowing God to send me other people who would help me heal and help me through it. All of those shifts led me to where I am now, which is a place of healing, a place of love instead of depression and heartache and pain. And I still have heartache. I still long for my daughter, but it's not in a place of a pit of depression that I can't get out of, that I can't ever smile again. I'm able to smile. I'm able to laugh. I'm able to have joy only through God. Without God in this scenario, in this picture, in this, mess that was my life, in this trauma, without Him, I never would be in a place of being able to love again, being able to have more children without having so much anxiety over something happening to them. He helped me get through those emotions, those feelings, those fears. He didn't pull me out. He didn't just pick me up and erase my mistakes and erase everything bad from my life. He helped me get through. And it was at that time that I had to stop praying, God, get me out of this. Get me out of this. Get me out of this. And shift it to, God, get me through this. Give me your strength. Give me your peace. Give me your patience. Give me everything that surpasses all my own humanly understanding. And pull me through this, not out of this. He didn't just remove them from the fire in the Bible. He got into the fire with them. And that was a much more impactful story than if he had just snapped his fingers and they were out of the fire and they were gone. It was the fact that they saw 4 people in there, not just 3. That changed the entire story. And it's the same when we go through things, when we go through hard things. How much different is the story, and how much character do you grow? How much do you just grow all around as a human being when God doesn't just pull you right out of it and erase all your pain? He comes in there with you. He stands with you. And that's a loving Father. A loving Father doesn't just allow a child to continue to make bad choices, to continue to be in a terrible relationship, to continue to do all these things, and then just pull them out of it every time they make a bad choice. A good father allows consequences to happen. And it might be a time that you have to look around at your life and look around at the things that you're blaming God for, or that you're blaming someone else for, or that it's causing you to stay in the same position that you've always been in. It's time for you to look around and say, are there any consequences that I am, going through right now? Are any of the things that are happening to me consequences of a choice that I made? And how can I do better? How can I make a different choice? Nothing changes if nothing changes. If I had stayed in a relationship with my husband, ex-husband, who shook my daughter, if I had just decided there's no way he did it, investigators could tell me he did, but I don't believe that. I love him. I'm going to stick by his side. If I did that, then I would have suffered a lot greater consequences than I already had suffered. And I could have stayed in that and said, well, it's his fault. He's doing all these bad things, not me. He's hurting me. He's hurting my kids. I'm not doing that. I don't have a choice. I'm stuck in this marriage. I'm stuck in this relationship. I can't get a divorce. I'm stuck. If I had chosen to stay with those type of thoughts and those type of choices, I would have suffered a lot more severe consequences. So nothing changes if nothing changes. That might be something you have to tell yourself over and over. If you find that you're suffering in some area of life, and I know that sometimes there's things like health issues that you really can't control, but you still have the choice to control how you react to it. And I don't have any experience with health issues other than like miscarriage and stuff like that. But you still get to control how you react to things no matter what. And so if you are going through something, it's always good, even though it's painful sometimes. It's painful to take ownership of a choice that you made. I chose to marry my ex-husband. That was my choice. I chose to stay with him. I chose to forgive him 1,000,000 times. I chose to leave my daughter with him that night. Did I know? Would I make a different choice now? Of course, I wouldn't do that. But I chose to do it that night that she was shaken. And so there were consequences for that. We don't always know the consequences until later on of our choices. But what we can do is use it to make better choices. I now know better. Would I change it? Sure. But can I dwell on that? No, I don't need to dwell on that. Dwelling on what happened that night because of a choice that I made would only tear me down. And it's not helpful in any way to dwell on those things. What is helpful is saying, okay, I made a bad choice. I have to move on. I have to forgive myself for making that bad choice. I have to realize there are consequences to choices. And I have to use that for every choice I make now. If I choose to have a negative mindset about things, there's consequences to having a negative mindset about everything. The way I look at money, if I choose to have a negative mindset, I have to pay bills, this sucks, I hate paying bills, then there's consequences to thinking that way. Instead, shifting that mindset to, I am so thankful I have electricity. I am going to happily pay this bill. I am glad to have heat through the winter. Please take my money. I need heat. That's a lot different. That's a choice in a mindset. And it's a choice for me to look back on what happened to my daughter, Krista, with shaken baby syndrome. It's a choice to look back and think, I could dwell on what happened to her, or I could look at all of the wonderful things that happened and be thankful for the time that I was able to spend with her, and be thankful for her life, and be thankful that she has helped many other people, and be thankful that God helps me to share her story to possibly save other children's lives. Those are two way different mindsets. It was my choice, but it's also my choice to have those type of thoughts, to tell, and it's intentional. The first thought that comes to your mind about a situation, your natural instinct, the way your brain is set up to protect you, is most likely going to be a negative thought. It's not always going to be something that it comes easy to you. This is something you have to be intentional about. And so when a thought comes to you in any situation, remember to tell yourself, I have a choice of how I react. I have a choice of what I let into my mind. I have a choice of what comes out of my mouth. I have a choice of what comes into my heart. I get to make the choice to pray about this first, or to go gossip about it, or to go complain about it. That's a choice. And so these are just some things through my own personal experience that I have had to learn to survive. And being in survival mode is a very difficult place to be. But it's where you learn and where you grow. It's where you learn that you get to make decisions, and you get to make choices, and you have consequences for those choices. It's like reality slaps you across the face. And it's in those moments when you're on rock bottom that you have to realize, I am the only one that can change my life. You have to tell yourself, no one else can change my life. Only me. I am the only one who can make a difference in this scenario. I am the only one who gets to choose different thoughts. I am the only one who can go to God about this. Only I can surrender my life to God. No one can do it for me. I have to put in the hard work. Shifting a mindset that you probably grew up with, and that your parents grew up with, and their parents grew up with. These are generational things, generational chains that you have to break. Because a lot of people never learned this growing up. A lot of people have to learn it along the way in life. These are things that happen in private, and most people aren't talking about. And so how will you ever know these things until, a trial happens to you, a trauma, something bad, or it doesn't even have to be a trauma, but if something bad happens to you, that is when you learn these things. That's when you learn, wow, I have to cope with this. And your way of coping can be surrendering it to God. That is a coping mechanism. Letting all of it go. Letting God take it off your shoulders. Letting Him work through you. God can use you in ways you never imagined. He can help people. People can come from random places and say to you, you helped me. And even if you never hear someone say that you helped me, I guarantee that when you get to heaven and God shows you the things in your life that you didn't even realize were happening, the ways that He was working in your life, you're going to be blown away by how God can use you. God can use your situation. People are watching you, whether you know it or not, whether you can, whether they tell you they're watching you, they are watching you. How you react to things in person and on social media. What you say to other people, they can see those things. How you respond to people at work, if you gossip about people, if you're the one who always helps people, if you're the one who's always, bringing up God in a loving way, if you're the one who's offering to pray for people, right then and there, God puts it on your heart to pray for them, you don't even hold back. You go up to them and you say, can I pray for you today? I can tell that you're having a bad day. God can use you. So whatever is happening in your life today, whatever worry comes to mind whenever you think about the word worry, any anxiety that you're experiencing, if you can't sleep tonight because you're worried about money, worried about your marriage, worried about your adult children, worried about your job, worried about a mistake that you made, whatever it is, surrender it to God. Take a moment to say, please, Lord, take this from me. I cannot handle this. God loves it whenever you bring things to Him. That is what He is there for. He is willing and able to take it from you. He is open to that, and He loves it when His children come to Him, just like you love it when your child comes to you to ask you about something important, to ask you for help about something that is major. It makes you feel like your children trust you, and they love you, and you have a good relationship, and that's exactly how God feels when you go to Him. So take it to Him. Ask Him to help you sleep. Ask Him to give you a peace that surpasses all understanding, because only He can give that. There's no medication that can give you that peace. And I am not against medication. If God calls you to be taking some type of medication, then I think you should. But there is no medication that will give you a peace that surpasses all understanding, and a strength, a supernatural strength to get through what you're going through. That can only come from God. And He is ready to give that to you. He gave that to me on my darkest days. Days when I was in the hospital, my daughter was dying, or I was told she was going to die. And the only place that I had was the bathroom floor that I had any kind of privacy. Or actually in the ICU, you don't even have your own bathroom, you have to share a bathroom with a shower. I would go into the shower just to get a few minutes of privacy to myself, and I would cry in that shower, and I would beg God to come and help me and to give me a peace. And guess what? He did. And nobody understands that. Nobody else will understand how you could have such peace in such a terrible situation, in a situation that your heart is physically aching because it hurts so bad. No one will understand how you got it, but you will, because you'll remember those times you spent in the shower crying, asking God for that peace. And the joy, the true joy, knowing that even though it hurts, God's going to do something with that hurt. Even though you don't know what to do, God knows what to do. Even though you feel so lonely, God is there with you. And so I want to close this with a quick prayer for you. Lord, I pray for the person listening to this. I pray that you would help them to have a peace. Please take off their shoulders whatever the burden is. Please remove that thorn from their side that is poking them and digging in. And it's causing them anxiety. It's causing them fear. Lord, I ask that you will get them through the situation, and that you will help them shift their mindset to one that knows that you are going to do something good, that knows without a doubt, that believes that you are going to show up in the situation. Help them to have that mindset of holy anticipation, of knowing God's going to handle it. And please give them a supernatural strength that only comes from you, God. Pour your strength into them. Please guard their hearts for them. If they're in a vulnerable position, please guard their heart. Please wrap your loving arms around them and let them know they are forgiven, they are free, that you give them mercy, that you give them grace, that they don't have to relive their mistakes, that they have permission to move forward in life, that they don't have to dwell on the past. And please give them strength to do that, because it's hard, Lord. We know as humans, these things are hard to do.